See, a task force is working at the forefront in challenging some of the Trump administration's executive orders. Already, more than 70 cases have been filed in limiting or halting some of the Trump administration's actions. And to hear more about this, we're speaking with Congressman Sam Liccardo, who is now part of the House leadership's Rapid Response Task Force. Thank you for joining us, Congressman.
Great to be with you.
Can you explain what the mission of the task force is?
Well, as you might suggest by the name, we are trying to respond to the enormous amount of noise that's being created by the executive disorders, as I call them. We know that there's a lot of pain being felt as a result, not just of the actions, but by the anticipation of the actions and everything else that may come from it. And I'm part of a litigation working group. We are working with partners like Public Citizen and Democracy Forward and other organizations where we're identifying actions that are clearly unconstitutional in particular. We now have 81 lawsuits filed. We're seeing real action in the courts. I think we now have 29 injunctions in place that have either limited or halted some of the more egregious acts. And obviously, we're working with lots of community partners to address each of these issues as they're coming up.
And were you appointed to this committee, and what experience do you bring to it?
Well, folks in the district probably know I'm a recovering lawyer. I was a criminal prosecutor here in St. Clair County. I was also a federal prosecutor prior to that time. So I'm pretty familiar with the courtroom, and I've worked in civil law as well, both in law firm and for judges, federal judge, I should say. So I have a pretty good handle on litigation strategy. There's obviously many colleagues who do as well, and we're working together with a lot of experts on the outside. We are lending certainly legislative insights and expertise, as well as writing amicus briefs and doing other things we can to support the actions that many of our partners are filing.
And what do you think is the most urgent priority for the task force? Where are you going to start?
Well, I think the logical place to start is where we know that the actions are most brazen, most unconstitutional. We've seen a lot of success so far from 4 federal judges that have blocked, for example, the efforts to eviscerate the 14th Amendment around birthright citizenship. Certainly Article 1 of the Constitution, which gives Congress the power of the purse, that's been largely ignored by the pattern of actions we've seen from this administration, essentially eliminating agencies without any consultation of Congress. Obviously, that can only happen not just because of the constitutional provisions, but also because of a federal law that passed in 1974. We believe adamantly, as I think generations of Americans have believed, that if we are going to enact spending cuts, we ought to do so. I certainly support a lot of spending cuts. We need to do it legally and constitutionally, so we're focusing a lot on protecting Article 1 of the Constitution.
And so taking the Trump administration to court over these executive orders is the only way to challenge them or reverse them? Is that the only way?
No, there's a legislative process as well. But of course, as you know, the American people voted for Republican majorities in the Senate and the House. And although we are hearing a lot of dissatisfaction from Republicans, particularly behind closed doors with many of these executive orders, I think they recognize the extraordinary impacts. I mean, we're about to see a proposal come to us to cut perhaps $880 billion from Medicaid, which 71 million Americans depend on. You know, these kinds of slash and burn approaches are not going to obviously be widely supported. And when those proposals eventually start to get felt further down the line, I suspect we'll start to see more Republicans standing up, and we'll have a legislative option because we need a majority, obviously, to pass any legislation to block this. But until that time, what we have is the courts. That's what our Constitution gives us, is the third branch of government, and we need to use all of the tools of our constitutional democracy.
And has anything like this ever been set up before against another presidential administration?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I wasn't in Congress, of course, during the first Trump administration, although, as you know, there were plenty of actions being challenged at that time, overwhelmingly successfully, because I don't think the administration took much counsel from its attorneys or other advisors who might have suggested that a more constitutionally compliant approach would be appropriate. What we're seeing in this case, though, obviously, is with the benefit of experience, they've identified those areas where they think they can move the fastest. We look, many of my colleagues and I believe there are places we can cut this government, and we should. The way to do that, of course, is to do so thoughtfully, like every family looks at their budget. They cut the fat and they make sure that they're paying the bills for those things that are most essential. And unfortunately, we're not seeing that approach with this administration. The way to enact that kind of approach is obviously through Congress in public with hearings where we can hear from experts and from the community and the public.
Well, it sounds like you have your work cut out for you with dozens of cases already filed. So we're glad you could make some time for us. This is Congressman Sam Liccardo. Thanks for being here.
Great to be with you.